This video is going to be about the Shimano Hollowtech 2 bearing balls and the damage that they suffer under extreme conditions such as riding on top of the pedals off the seat, climbing pretty hard, mashing up the pedals off the block. This is the damage that you get off it. This bike has less than 250 kilometers on it. I don't ride it often. I ride more of the cheaper one more often. And the cheap bike uses the 1/4 sized balls inside cages on the bottom bracket. It's an older style bike. So the damage is much, much less than this one. You can see here that there's chunks completely missing off this ball. Now this is at 120 times though, so you can see this with your naked eye. Just skip down to 60 times here. And that's what the ball looks like. And you can see that's not dust. Those are pits all over the ball. Now we're going to go to 10 times. And that's what the ball looks like. Now at 10 times, you really can't see that much damage. You can see some of the slightly pits there, but you can't see the damage. This is supposed to be a super smooth ball, and it's starting to look a bit rough. So when we move into the higher zooms, you can see the damage. Now remember again, this is a 250 kilometer bearing, supposedly new bearing, okay? So if you look at this, yeah. So why did this happen? Simple. This is off the Sava bike. Now I don't ride it that often. I only ride it on the weekends, and I don't go for 100-kilometer rides. Just 20 kilometers, 40 kilometers at the most. I don't do a lot of that riding with it. I do most of the cycling with the cheaper bike, the GMC Denali. And that one uses old style loose bearings on the both the hubs on the wheels and also the bottom bracket. So this is a testament, okay, especially with the bottom bracket, that loose bearings or cage bearings are even better than Hollowtech 2 bearings, because it's all about the size of the steel balls, okay? The bigger size steel balls handle impact better, especially riding on top of the pedals off the seat. You shouldn't do that with these bearings, okay? So jumping off the block, mashing a big gear, and that kind of thing. So again, this video is dedicated to some of the bike shops that are out there, and I subscribe to a few of them, and I've left messages in them, and they need to understand why people are coming in and telling them why is there noise with their bike, even though it looks like the bottom bracket's brand new. A couple 100 kilometers and the bottom bracket's creaking or making noise. Well, these balls, okay, they amplify any noise in the drivetrain. The reason why is because they're very small, so they can't take the vibration loads that well. So you're gonna have a lot of feels like drone vibration going through the pedals, especially when your rings are starting to worn down. If you see this kind of damage on a bearing ball, added with the fact that your rings are starting to wear down a bit, you're going to have a bigger noise profile. So what I recommend is this. Every time you switch the rings, you buy new rings, move the bottom bracket out and put a new one. Or watch my video on how to replace the balls and the bottom bracket bearing of the Shimano Hollowtech 2. Faster to just replace the entire thing because you're not cooling and heating the bearing to take it out and remove it. So do that if you have time. If not, just order the bottom bracket and replace it. So this is what happens after 250 kilometers of damage. And I started getting this. It wasn't creaking, okay? It was a droning noise, a little rubbing noise. And I found out that the ring, okay, the rings were worn, but not to the point of extreme, but they were worn, and the noise from that was being amplified by this, okay, by these bearing balls. All of them were like this, so you can see there's chunks missing off this thing, okay. So again, this is the type of damage you're going to see, unless you use a microscope. This is what the $10 bargain bin microscope. It's got a 10, 60, and 120 time optical zoom carrier lens, and it's a digital microscope. One of those cheapy ones. I just wanted to use something cheap and quick to show you this. So as you can see, these bearing balls being smaller, there's more of them in the ring of the bearing, but doesn't defeat the fact that they're small and they're going to get damaged more. So expect to replace your bottom bracket more often than the old style square taper shaft or drum type bottom bracket, which was the later edition of that. Or well, it's up to you if you want to go back to that. You could go back to an older style loose bearings, but that's going to be a bit problem for the conversion for that. Okay, so the bottom line is expect to spend more money replacing the bottom brackets on these more expensive bikes. And the reason why is simple: they're using smaller balls, and smaller balls are not as strong as the 1/4 size ball that were on the older bikes that somehow went forever and they never made any noise. Well, after 1,000 kilometers, I took the bearing balls out of the cheap bike out from the loose bearing cages from the bottom bracket, and there was barely any damage to them. I mean, what you see here, nothing on the other ones after 1,000 kilometers. So as you can see, these smaller balls just don't, they're not that good if you're going to be smashing on the bike. If you're a light rider, 140 pounds or less, you're not going to see this damage. 170 pounds and over, mashing the bike, jumping off the block, climbing hard, you're going to see this damage. Thanks for watching and have a good day.